Welcome to Book Time with Ryan. I am Ryan, and today I'm doing my first original tag. And I'm very excited about this tag. This is the whale tag. And if you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you know that I like whales. This love of whales is not new, but my approach to it, my desire to learn more about whales is relatively new. It's actually new to my time on BookTube. And it came out of reading a book called Sounding, and then reading a lot of nonfiction books, and eventually making my way through Moby Dick, and then reading some related books to Moby Dick. So we'll talk about some of those, but this is an idea I've had for a little while, and I've wanted to do something in my first year that was original to this channel, and I felt what better thing for me to do than a whale tag. This is not a tag that you need to know about whales for, but hopefully after doing this tag, you will learn a little bit about whales, and maybe it'll make you want to learn more. I will go through the questions. The questions will be available down below. I'm going to tag 5 people at the end of this, but if you weren't tagged, and I tried to limit the number of tags so people didn't feel overwhelmed doing this and having to tag a bunch of people. If you see this and you want to do it, please do it. I really want people to see this. I want people to learn about whales. I want people to remember that there's a whole group of mammals in the ocean that we need to help save and are very important to our ecosystem. So I will read each question. Each question has a whale theme to it, and then I will provide my answer to the question. And feel free to include as much or as little information as you like in your answers. So number 1, blue whale.
I like it when you call me Big Blue Whale.
The blue whale is the largest, heaviest animal on Earth, ever. What's the longest book you've read or want to read? Or what's the heaviest subject you've read about? The longest book I've read so far is Cryptonomicon. This is a first edition, first printing, and it's signed. There are 918 pages in this book. So I still haven't hit the 1,000 mark. But that's a pretty long book. It's a long book in my book. What is the longest book I have, which I will eventually read? The longest book I have, I believe, is The World's Banker, The History of the House Rothschild by Niall Ferguson. I like everything else Niall Ferguson's written that I've read, and this is a big book. This is actually 2 books combined into one. I thought that was a good idea at the time, but I've found that it's probably unmanageable. This has, excluding the notes, 1,044 pages. If you include the notes, if we go to the very end of the book, this has 1,309 pages. That's a lot. That's a big book. So it's going to be a while before I get to that one. Number 2, Sperm Whale.
Hi, I'm a sperm whale. Oh!
Sperm whales routinely dive to a depth of 2,000 feet to feed on squid, but can dive to a depth of 10,000 feet. What is the book that has motivated you to look deeper into a subject, character, situation, or series? For me, this is actually related to this tag. The book that made me look into whales is Sounding. Now, loosely, it was Jaws, then Jaws 2, Jaws the Revenge. And after reading Jaws the Revenge, I wanted to read more about whales, but it was Sounding that really drove it home and caused me to look up other books about whales, fiction and nonfiction. This is a special edition, first edition, it's signed. And I believe it was limited to 150 copies. This is the copy that I read. Then I bought a cheaper copy so I could lend it to people. Number 3, Humpback Whale.
I'm a humpback.
Humpback whales sing long, complex songs they have in common with other individual humpback whales. These songs can change uniformly for entire groups of whales. What is a book that has changed meaning for you over the years? Why did it change? This is going to be a little different. The Santa Claus book. This is actually one of the first books that I talked about on this channel when I first started it. This is not the original book that I owned. I had to go out and find a new one, but when I read this book, I was a child and I believed that you could study elves for a living. And there's this page, there's a couple pages in here that when you look at it, you're like, all right, yeah, that looks scientific to me. Look, here it is. This is an elfish family tree. It talks about different species, I guess, of elves. And then it gives you a description of different kinds of elves. It worked for me. I was sure that I was going to become a professional elfologist as an adult. And that never happened. Why has it changed for me? One, because I became aware that that was not an option for an adult. But also, I had a child, and our daughter is turning 4 soon, and it has been really neat to take this book out and read it with her and share with her some of the little cool stories in here. We're not sure what we're going to do about Santa Claus, but there are just fun stories in here. Christmas looks different. Certainly, like, some of the fun celebration around it is different when you're the one like hosting it or pushing it, but as opposed to being the kid that wakes up all excited. And I think it probably is more fun as the adult. So this is just one of those books that has changed for me from my early years of thinking that I could study stuff that was in this book to now providing some of that entertainment to my daughter. Number 4, Orca.
I'm an orca, you loser. Hey, what's up, you punk ass biatch?
The kind of assholes I think you can see from the video. Orcas, or killer whales, are incredibly smart. Social whales, dolphins. What's a book that you felt was especially smart, fiction or nonfiction, and made you really think? This one's a little harder for me because I do read a lot of nonfiction, and if it's not a subject area that I've read in the past that's new and makes you think, I went more with the fiction that either had an aha moment or just allowed me to think a little bit more deeply. And the one I'm going to talk about, The Gone Away World by Nick Harkaway. I've done a review of this book. I gave it 5 stars. I really liked it. I like what Nick does. And I've read his other books, or most of his other books. I'm going to read more of his books. Check out the review I did, because there's a moment in here, I don't want to ruin it. I don't think I did in the review, but there's a moment where you just realize stuff, and it's kind of a cool moment. So it's one of those books that you think a little bit more about, especially after you've read it. Gone Away World. Number 5, Beluga.
Hi, I'm a beluga, and I'm sexy.
Belugas are nicknamed the canaries of the seas because of the sounds they make. What's a book you wanted to talk to others about after reading it? Why? For me, it is The Man Who Could Not Stop, OCD and the True Story of a Life Lost in Thought by David Adam. This book, I think, drives home what OCD is like for people who suffer from OCD. OCD being obsessive compulsive disorder. David Adam does a great job of highlighting how irrational the thoughts are of people that have OCD and how they realize that, they understand that, and that makes it that much harder. A lot of people want to talk about OCD as sometimes almost as a punchline, kind of like ADD, where they're like, oh, I like to clean, I'm so OCD. Really, what you find from this book is that OCD is not a pleasant experience. Having those tendencies, having that behavior, having that disorder can be pretty miserable. So I found that this book did a great job of highlighting that fact, and David Adam did a really good job of explaining what he was going through in a way that I think anybody can relate to. So once I read this, I brought it up to a number of people, including my parents, but I thought it was really, really well done. Number 6, Narwhal.
Hi, I'm Narwhal. Look at me.
And my daughter will correct you. It's not Narwhal, it's Narwhal. Male narwhals, known as the unicorns of the sea, have 2 teeth, including one long spiraling tooth that can grow nearly 9 feet long. What's a book that you heard great things about before reading, only to discover it was less magical after reading it? For me, it's my most recent book that I've completed, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I will link the review. I did not rank it very high. I had some expectations, although I didn't really go into it knowing a lot, but it had 4.22 stars on Goodreads, which is high in my book. And I expected, I don't know, more. And it's a movie. So I just kind of thought that there was going to be a lot more going on there, and I was disappointed. I don't know what the movie's like yet because I haven't seen the movie, but the book was not what I was expecting based off of some feedback I had seen from people and certainly the scores I had seen on Goodreads. So Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is my narwhal. I should say that the narwhal is my daughter's favorite whale, a beluga is my wife's favorite whale, and the orca is my parents' favorite whale. My wife voiced the beluga voice, and my daughter voiced the narwhal voice, and the scared squid from the Sperm Whale video. Number 7, Bowhead whale.
I'm old man Bowhead whale.
While it's evident bowhead whales live well beyond 100 years of age, there's evidence they may live to be 200 years old. What's the oldest book in your collection? Or what book has been in your collection the longest? The oldest book in my collection is pretty easy. It is a 2-volume The Purple Land That England Lost. This is going to come back later. And the oldest book in my collection, I'm going to preface with that, not my collection, but let's say the oldest book that's been in my family is this book, which is Poe's Tales, Mysteries, and Imagination. And it is from, it's the Everyman's Library. I believe it's from 1914. So it's not extremely old. It's older than 100 years, but this is my great-grandfather's book. My dad had it, and I eventually asked for it, and he was like, oh yeah, take it. So I did. So oldest book was from 1885. That is The Purple Land That England Lost. And then the oldest book that has been in my family is the Poe book from 1914. Number 8, Atlantic gray whale.
The Atlantic gray whale. There aren't any. You killed them all. I'm from the Pacific. Please don't kill us.
Atlantic gray whales were sadly wiped out by humans. Today only Pacific gray whales remain. Save the whales. What's one book that is either out of print or out of fashion that you wish would make a comeback? This is an answer. This is a book you've already seen. The Purple Land That England Lost. I've talked about this before. The Purple Land That England Lost was a commercial failure in 1885, and it wasn't a success until 1904. And in 1904, this book was changed. It was no longer called The Purple Land That England Lost. It was only called The Purple Land, and they removed a chapter and made some changes to it. I think it would be very cool for The Purple Land That England Lost to come back. I've asked Folio Society to do that. They haven't. But the first edition is prohibitively expensive for most people, I think. It's a few thousand. So it would be really cool for Folio Society to do all the original text from the first edition that's so hard to get now. When you get The Purple Land, you get the later editions, which actually mention in kind of a foreword about the 2-volume slim editions that initially came out. So that's what I'd love to see. Bonus question, Moby Dick. Moby Dick was the great white sperm whale Captain Ahab never caught. What is a book that you want to own but haven't found or bought? What's stopping you from hooking that book? I have 2 out of the 3 books in the Carla Chronicles in John le Carré's kind of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy trilogy. And I have Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and I have Smiley's People. They're both first editions, first printings of the UK edition, and they're both signed in the book. That's the first and the third of the trilogy. I want the middle one, The Honorable Schoolboy. The issue is it's pretty expensive now because John le Carré died, and to find the first edition, first printing of the UK edition signed in the book, I don't want it in a book plate, I want it actually in the book, is, you know, $1,000 or more. It's hard to find it by itself, but to have all three of them signed first editions, it's thousands of dollars. So that's become difficult. My other kind of white whale that I'm looking for is the first edition of White Collar Crime by Edwin H. Sutherland. I have the carbon copy typescript of the initial text. I have a copy of the censored version of the book from 1967 that's published by Holt Reiner Winston. And I have the later uncut version of the book from Yale University Press. What I don't have is the 1949 first edition that was published by Drayton Press. And I look every so often, I just haven't found it. I don't think it's going to be expensive. I think it's just hard to find. That's my Moby Dick. The last thing to do in this tag. Scientists tag whales to help study their behavior, such as migration. Tag 5 booktubers to complete this tag. And remember, save the whales. I'm going to tag Another Bibliophile Reads, Barb's Bookland, who I sent Sounding to, which is one of the books I showed you. It's a book about a sperm whale. Bomb Book Reviews. Crystal at Bomb Book Reviews buddy read Moby Dick with me, and she didn't enjoy it as much as I did, but she did it, which is cool. And she also is aware of some of the stories in Australia about whales, specifically killer whales that helped out the local whalers. I'm going to tag Brandon's Bookshelf, and I will tag Michael K. Vaughn. So thank you for watching this video. This is the first and maybe the only tag that I've ever created. I hope you learned a little bit about whales and enjoyed it, able to think about some of these books, and I hope it was a unique experience because that's what I was hoping it would be, and I hope that we all kind of learned something and we're reminded of these giant mammals that live right next door to us that we need to help because we've done a lot of damage over the years. For the 5 people I tagged, I hope you do this. If you weren't tagged but you like this tag, please, 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 please do it. And I'd also like to thank my wife Diane and my daughter Noelia for voicing a couple of the whales. And thank you, Noelia, for letting me use your toys. I know that those looked like real whales and you thought that was actual footage, but those were toy whales inside a hot tub at my parents' house. Thank you to my parents for letting us use the hot tub and letting me film my little whale clips in the hot tub. Thanks so much for doing this, the whale tag. Hope you enjoyed it. Please participate, and I will see you later. Thanks.
Oh, 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 oh.